In May of 2019, there will be a bond election, and that bond election will be to fund the building of the facility of the new police department. And that vote is important to us. It's important to our community because it gives us an opportunity to have a building that will actually benefit us for many years to come. This video covers information about the current deficiencies and what would be constructed if the bond passes. There's many reasons why we need a new police station, but we'll start with just the parking situation in the front of the police department. As our officers pull into the police department, they're always having to back out to go to an emergency, which is never a safe thing to be doing. We've been in accidents backing out of our parking spaces here. We're also set up on a cul-de-sac where officers have to back up, then go through the cul-de-sac, and then try to get out onto Washington Street, which is a heavily traffic area. Or they can take an alley route to go to 5th Street. But the problem with that is you have a lot of pedestrian traffic. We have people that work out at North Idaho Fitness, and they're doing outdoor running and stuff. So we're always in fear of hitting a pedestrian as we're coming through the alley. So it just slows our response time down. We have mirrors actually put up in the end of the alleyways to give us a better visual if anybody is walking down the sidewalk. Then just entering onto 5th Street, with the co-op and all the businesses downtown, there's a lot of traffic that goes on that 5th Street section. So getting out onto 5th Street can be a little bit of a challenge at times. Then we got to get onto Main Street to start going south to get to 6th Street. Because once I get on 6th Street, then that gives me my arterial shot to campus. If the alley's blocked, then I have to back up again, and I have to come and try to get onto Washington. Then I'm taking the route onto 3rd Street and heading that way. We have options, but both of those options can be congested. As we're leaving here, we're always trying to get to a main arterial, whether that be D Street to go east, or 3rd Street or 6th Street. With having Washington be one of the main ones we have to get onto, with the traffic that happens at times on Washington, it does create a hazard to us. It creates a hazard to the community, but it also just slows down our response time. We still have, I think, very fast response times, but we need to look at what gives us the quickest, safest routes out of a facility, and that's part of the reason that we look very intently on where the new facility would go and what benefits that would give us. By having the police department on the peripheral of the city or the outlying areas a little bit, it will speed up our response times, because the way that we're configuring the parking lots where the officers will be coming out of, they won't be having to back up. They won't be having to deal with a one-way alley. They won't be having to deal with heavier traffic on Washington Street. They can come right out of the parking spot and go east, west, north, or south, depending on where the call to service is, and it'll be a much faster response because of that. Along with the limited access for us in and out, we have a lot of traffic that comes to the front window. A lot of people, getting licenses, taxi licenses, daycare licenses, doing fingerprints, paying parking tickets, just doing different things throughout the day. And the parking downtown and the parking around the police department is insufficient. There's people, they have to walk a block and a half just to come to the police department. The new facility would have, I think, upwards to 30 parking spaces in front just for the community to come, just so that they wouldn't have to wait and walk during the bad weather times and stuff to be able to pay their parking tickets or get their licenses. So space is a huge issue in the current facility that we're in. The reason we would never remodel this or redesign this building is we've already done that. I can walk you around and show you walls that I've personally worked on to reconfigure the police department to be a more usable space, and we've reached I think a point where we can't do that anymore. So this is our detective space. We have a secured facility area over here that we just remodeled because we hired on a second Internet Crimes Against Children detective. They have to have a space that they can actually lock up. So we built this wall here. to give them an office space that meets their needs. We took out a wall here to open this space up so we could move our other detectives over into this area and give them the space they need to do what they need to do. And then we moved our other detective over into the corner here so that she would have space to work and do what she needs to do. But as you can see, everything's pretty crammed in here. Everything's kind of at the point where we couldn't bring anything more in if we needed to. And
where would you even put a third detective?
Well, we wouldn't. So as we grow and as our community grows, we don't have the space to put personnel. You know, we have 4 sergeants in one office space that's smaller than this office space. We have 4 corporals in an office space that's smaller than this office space. We have, you know, storage bags in our weight room area that are above just to have enough storage to store the equipment that we need to do our jobs. I can take you down to where we store our paper. This is also where we bring the public in to do fingerprints. So we have the public coming in to get fingerprinted for their licenses for the teachers and nurses, and we have to bring them around all of this just to provide the service for them. This is the office space that I was telling you that the corporals share. They each have a cubby up on top of the desk, but that's all they get other than the 2 actual desk areas. So this space here is where our sergeants share. It's a little bit bigger than the corporal's area. They each have a file cabinet and there's 2 desks, but it's shared by 4 different sergeants. This is our evidence storage space here. Because of the need, because of having so much evidence that we have to keep. This used to be the women's locker room here. So we basically utilize this because it's so close in proximity to the main evidence storage room. So this is our overflow now here. So we'd have enough space for that. Yeah, our evidence room, we ran into an issue where we had an overflow of evidence. So what we did to combat that is we took our women's locker room that we had just remodeled. We moved them into a room that had all of our wires and stuff coming in for our computer systems. We boxed that all in, made their locker room in there, and then secured the old locker room area to be an evidence overflow, because there's a lot of things we just can't get rid of. So we have to have the space to do that, and right now we're at that point where we don't have enough space to store everything that we need to store. So these 2 rooms here are also evidence. These are our old cells from back when we had jail cells within the city. But now we utilize them also for evidence storage. So, like I said, to combat all of our issues, we actually moved the women's locker room. And now we'll go down this way before we go here, because I want to show you what we did in the men's locker room to give enough space for that. So this is our main locker room area. This is where our male officers change and get ready to go on duty. Because of the overflow issues that we had with enough space, this used to be our command locker room here where captains and myself had our lockers. But now we've moved other officers into here to give more space. So we've done this huge shuffle with the male's locker room and the female locker room just to provide enough space to adequately be able to store our equipment and our uniforms and still have space for the evidence room. So this is our weight room facility. Because we moved the women's locker room to where it is now, that used to store all of our hazmat material and our riot material. So now we have built these upper shelves to store our equipment there so that we still have it here in case we need it. But we've done a lot of juggling of personnel and storage spaces just to create enough of a space to have what we need. So there's this overflow, and we've pushed the seams of everything and where we can put stuff, and we're kind of at that point where we have no more room to move stuff now. We have a briefing room that holds up to maybe 22 people comfortably. We just had a meeting with joint other agencies, Latah County, the prosecutor's office, ATVP, U of I, Gripman, and the room was packed with just 20 people. When you're also in that room, if because of our overcrowded space, we have basically a storage closet off to the side of that. And in that room, we have our blood drying machine. So it's a machine that we put bloody clothes in to dry. So if we happen to have a situation where we're having a meeting and we have to bring that stuff in, the meeting has to be disrupted just to get in to be able to put stuff in. So this is the room that's off of our briefing room that we have our blood dryer machine in. And not only is it the space that we have our blood dryer, it's also the space that we have to keep things for our events, for our National Night Out, for our Lee Newville Safety Fair. It's kind of our overflow. We also, as you can see, we have bike equipment in here because we run our bike program. We have to have places to store tires and different things, so it's just one more space. The new facility would have 2 different rooms that we would utilize for training. One would be a briefing room, and that's where officers go to brief on the calls that happen throughout the day and throughout the week. And we would also then have a training room where community members could also utilize when we have our Citizens Police Academy. Right now we're limited to 25 people in that academy. I believe we'd be able to go up to 50 or 60 people. It's a room that actually can be accessed from inside the lobby instead of having, now you have to be buzzed in and escorted into the police department. There would be able to have people just go up a set of stairs and go to the room and be a lot less restricted on where they can go to, which is a benefit to us because it opens up, we believe in the community policing philosophy that we want the community to be a part of us. Well, right now we have to always escort people in and around. That would give us a space to be able to commingle with people from our community and not be quite as restricted. So the new facility would have secured parking for our police vehicles as well as our personal vehicles. Right now we don't have that. We have in the past had situations where people have done damage to our police cars. I know of several cases where we've had tires slit, where we had a windshield bashed in. The new facility would give us a gated area that we can feel more secure in, as well as it'll protect our vehicles and the equipment that is purchased through taxpayers' money. We'll also have rooms in the new facility where we can interview people. Right now we have to bring people in that are suspects in serious crimes all the way through our department. The new facility will have those interview rooms more towards the front, possibly even tied off of the lobby area where we can just bring them into the lobby and go straight into an interview room. So we're talking about in the new facility having a 24-hour room that would be a safe haven room. So right now, after 5 o'clock, our front doors are locked. So they don't open up again until 8 in the morning. The new facility would have a room where people, if they were in trouble, could run into and actually lock themselves in there and call us. And they'd be locked within the police department, but not into the core of the police department, so we could get to them faster.